The Christ Letters, with enhanced narration and text. Letter 7.5. Morals, Intercourse and Conception. Before conception takes place, the sperm is imbued with the total consciousness of the male, the future father, and the ovum is imbued with the total consciousness of the female, the future mother. During intercourse, changes take place in the mental, emotional consciousness of the man and woman. They may sense a deepening of love, caring, and drive to express their longing for greater closeness and harmony of spirit. This is a true spiritual physical union. Alternatively, as their desire for union with each other changes to an ever stronger desire for self-satisfaction, this becomes an ego activity, reaping only ego reactions. However, whatever the condition of consciousness of the participants in the act of union, their consciousness of desire to achieve the ultimate climax strives and drives the physical organs to move in a rhythm, producing psychic physical energy which gradually rises up into the brain, creating a higher and higher momentum of vibrational energy to reach a peak of near delirium and delight, bursting into an explosion of momentary ecstasy and glorious fulfillment. And then follows release and a gradual descent into human consciousness again. At the very moment of delirium, delight, the human consciousness rises to touch the divine life force, which ignites the sperm in the male and the ovum in the woman. Conception may not take place, and both sperm and ovum return to normal physical consciousness. When conception takes place, sperm penetrates the ovum and they are united in the highest vibrations of divine life, in spiritual and physical fusion. In united consciousness, they too ascend into their own moment of equilibrium and joy to become one, both within divine life itself and human father-mother consciousness. This moment of consciousness union takes place within the very highest dimension of divine life consciousness and is a moment of unimaginable rejoicing and joy, for the two elements of male and female are again conjoined, united and merged in equilibrium to become one, to produce a child. This moment of union is a reenactment of a person's return to the glorious and ineffable ecstasy of the divine consciousness of universal equilibrium. When intercourse is prompted by pure heartfelt love between man and woman, the united human consciousness ascends during intercourse into higher and higher levels of consciousness vibrational frequencies until they are caught up in the vibrational frequencies of divine intelligence, love, consciousness. Such a child, conceived in such circumstances, is born of spirit. Lovers know when they truly love and come to each other in pure tenderness and love, because such intercourse is a moment of union of mind, emotions, and body, and lingers in their consciousness afterwards, making it difficult for them to draw apart from each other. They are aware of transcendent beauty, a renewal of emotional love instead of satiation, and an all-encompassing harmony. These men and women are joined by divine consciousness. Sadly, their personal ego consciousness can eventually taint the love they felt for each other and gradually largely replace it, leaving them separated and alone, sad and emotionally, physically weakened, wondering why such a beautiful, exalted state of love could ever dwindle and die. These letters can be the means of their overcoming the ego drive and rediscovering their previous love on an even higher and more spiritual level, in which case man and woman will become more whole than ever before. This may or may not bring them together in a new sexual attraction, transcending all other, depending on their state of consciousness, whether it has itself transcended the desire for physical fusion. Physical union undertaken in any other emotion leads to a condition of flesh entering flesh, and is but a receiving and giving of earthly, frequently negative, vibrational frequencies, producing like-minded progeny of such a union. Even if a child is not conceived, such intercourse is detrimental to both partners, since there is an exchange and absorption of each other's consciousness energy into the body, which, if negative, hostile or critical, can be damaging to one another. Remember that consciousness energy is compounded of father intelligence and mother love electromagnetism. The energy exchange between sexual partners is of the same energy out of which the mental, electrical, and emotional magnetic fields of the body are formed. All is consciousness. Therefore, when consciousness energies within body fluids and mental emotional attitudes and thoughts are exchanged and absorbed, you are, each of you, affecting the mental, emotional, physical condition of the partner. Intercourse should, to be healthy and life-giving, only be undertaken in true heartfelt love, where the good of the loved one is more important than the good of the lover. It should never be used to heal emotional rifts or wounds. Intercourse may be a joyous act undertaken after a difference of opinion and anger, where there has been sincere mutual forgiveness and a full restoration of and renewed love for each other, but never to cover the hurts and effect a false sense of emotional receptivity in the other partner. No doubt such intercourse will give them a temporary sense of well-being and transient goodwill, since their consciousness energies will have been lifted into higher vibrational frequencies. But This is a temporary alleviation of their personal consciousness only. When partners go to each other still bearing hidden resentment or critical, denigrating thoughts about the other, those negative consciousness forms are transmitted into the electromagnetic fields of the partner and create a sense of inner disturbance of which the partner is not fully aware. Nevertheless, the relationship is being gradually eroded without either partner being fully aware that this is happening. This is the reason why the physical attraction between partners dwindles and dies. It is destroyed by hidden negative critical thoughts and feelings which, little by little, affect each other profoundly on every level of their being. As their frequencies of vibration drop, they will find themselves being drawn into the thoughts and feelings which previously drove them into arguments with other people, and consequently the problems will be repeated day after day. When people use sex as a panacea, it becomes a frustration and disillusionment sets in, leading to a loss of respect and love for each other. Therefore, it is essential for people to realize that fights and quarrels arise out of their own hidden ego consciousness drives, which gain control of their loving feelings. And the ego drives must be healed before couples can reach a new level of mutual understanding, consideration, and consistent love for each other. Not only this, but the condition of consciousness of each partner eventually affects their environment, living conditions, and success or lack of it in their daily lives. It also affects the children, creating a family of mutual cooperation and healthy mental emotional patterns, or the dysfunctional family, where no member is in true sympathy or acceptance by the other. You may say that the successful or dysfunctional family conditions arise purely from their innate characters and the way they perform in their daily roles. It is perfectly true that the family life is a product of character and performance, but I want you to consider the dysfunctional family which breaks up. The partnership and sexual cohabitation ends. Parents move away from each other and move on to entirely new lives because they have managed to disentangle themselves from the unhealthy or critical consciousness they were absorbing during the sexual act. If strong enough to do so, each partner discovers a new self, builds a new environment, and goes on to new success. However, those partners who live truly in love with each other, considering each other's needs together, giving and taking in equal balance, offering emotional support when needed, or loving counsel, not advice, when this is asked for, will find that the family is glued together by the absorption of each other's dynamic consciousness energies. In the light of the previous paragraphs, it may now be understood that prior to intercourse there should never be a sense of grievance, buried hostility, contempt, denigration. Any such feelings must be fully resolved before sex is resumed. In a relationship where discussion and freedom of speech is accepted as normal, each partner should resist the act of sexual love until a powerful interforce of responsive love has been built up and the consciousness of both partners is in a state of pure equilibrium. As for rape, this is the most heinous act against another and will draw to itself its own just rewards at some time in the future. It proceeds out of an especially warped and distorted ego consciousness. The frequencies of consciousness vibrations of such people are so low and ponderous as to be personally destructive. In the olden days, society was continually taught and sermonized. In Western countries, the 10 Commandments were rightly presented as being the true foundations of a civilized and humanized culture, teaching self-control and readily acceptable to all religions worldwide. Today, with the strengthening of the ego consciousness, due to the influence of the entertainment industry and media, ego lusts have control. You must also understand and accept that consciousness energies are energies as real and active as are the energies of heat and sound. Just as sound waves can penetrate certain substances, so do the consciousness energies of one person infect like a virus the consciousness energies of another mind with their own brutal tendencies. These energies may not be expressed in exactly the same way as the rapist, but rest assured that transmitted consciousness energies do implant a new idea or a new feeling within an innocent party. Your scientists are not prepared to believe in telepathy, but telepathy is a fact of life. Although dull conscious activity may be so self-oriented as to not recognize that new impulses have originated in someone else's mind. I will say no more on this subject, except to warn those in high places of church, law, and government who fail in their responsibilities towards people at this critical time. They will eventually perceive the enormity of their lack of moral performance whilst undertaking their earthly duties. They will feel the imprint of the lives of those who have been harmed and destroyed due to their moral negligence, rebound upon their own lives. Every action has its like repercussions. Perhaps you will now realize why the present sexual trend in the world is causing the most dire conditions worldwide. For you to fully understand what I am talking about, I want you to strive to visualize and realize that the nature of divine consciousness of universal equilibrium is limitless power, since the equilibrium harmony arises out of equal constraint between the universal impulses of the male and female, intelligence and love, the will to experience and the will to remain acquiescent, the yearning to be active and the yearning to hold back and maintain the status quo in order to form bonds and stability. These primal impulses of being, as I explained in Letter 4, are the reality which has given life, form, shape, being to all visible things. This dimension is a state of beauty, joy, harmony, rapturous ecstasy, reverence, intelligence, love. It is all that the earth can demonstrate, but on a scale beyond your even remotest conception. Try to take into your consciousness the meaning of the two foregoing paragraphs. Understanding and making the meaning your very own will change your whole perspective of your divine origins and of existence itself. In these paragraphs directly above, I have described to you the nature and essence of life, which comes into action within the sperm and ovum when they are united in giving form to a child. This is your truth, your reality, your soul, psyche, your deepest state of being. Instinctively, you are aware of this. The baby is the embodiment of joy. The joy it expresses as it develops consciousness of its relationships and environment comes out of the deep well of divine life, which has grown it cell by cell according to genetic instructions into its present form.